Russia is plunging into another wave of crisis, and this time the patience of residents of the Kemerovo region has snapped. A coal scandal has erupted in Kuzbass, linked to war, sanctions and economic decline. For the first time, people took to the streets and openly addressed Putin, demanding answers. The agency writes about this. Last Sunday, dozens of residents gathered in Kemerovo, outraged by the sharp deterioration in the quality of coal which they are now offered under a regional benefit. If earlier they could receive high-quality graded coal, now they are forced to buy useless dust, which does not burn and does not give heat. High-quality coal is now being taken by China. In Russia, they are forced to consume the remains of low quality. They took away our graded coal, leaving only the earth, which burns but does not give off heat. People would simply freeze. Why is the governor silent? Why was the region left without coal? Said one of the protesters, recording a video message to Putin. The coal crisis in Russia is caused not only by Western sanctions but also by China's decision to impose duties on Russian coal. Against the backdrop of falling global fuel prices, coal companies' revenues have fallen by 20% and their profits have dropped to zero. As a result, the largest companies are refusing to produce quality coal, and the authorities are suggesting that people freeze or heat their furnaces with a useless mixture of coal dust and dirt. Sanctions from the US, EU and the UK have already dealt a crushing blow to the industry. Since spring 2024, restrictions have been imposed on Russia's largest coal companies, including Suek, Kuzbass Rezugol and Ruski Ugol. Now coal warehouses are overflowing and enterprises are closing, leaving hundreds of thousands of miners without work and wages. While Governor Ilya Seredyuk tries to justify himself, explaining the crisis by the difficulties of the coal industry, people are not going to put up with deception. Back in January, the authorities announced that subsidized coal would now only be of low quality. However, the protests have shown that Russians are no longer prepared to silently tolerate economic ruin and outright robbery by the authorities. Coal miners can no longer give such discounts, otherwise they will not be able to pay salaries to miners and pay taxes, the governor admitted. But people are not satisfied with this answer. They demand an investigation and punishment to those who brought Kuzbass to poverty. Previously, Russians tried to solve the problem online, signing a petition on change.org, but now they are taking to the streets. It is one of the first cases of open protest against the economic consequences of the war, and if the crisis worsens, such actions would begin all over Russia. While the Kremlin spends trillions on the war, ordinary Russians are freezing and asking for help from the government that has long betrayed them. Maritime incidents occurred at opposite ends of Russia, involve a Chinese cargo ship and Russian Shadow Fleet's Antigua-flagged tanker, both carrying fuel oil, with one vessel grounded near Sakhalin and another at Ust-Luga port. On the 15th of December 2024, two Russian river tankers, Volgoneft 212 and Volgoneft 239, sank in the Kerch Strait, spilling 4,300 tons of fuel. By January, oil-blackened beaches stretched from Russia's Krasnodar Krai to occupied Crimea's Sevastopol. Under Western sanctions, Russia increasingly relies on aging, foreign-flagged tankers in its Shadow Fleet, facing frequent technical failures and posing growing environmental and security risks, with these unregulated vessels also linked to the Baltic Sea sabotage. The Helsinki Maritime Court has ordered a double arrest on the oil tanker Eagle S based on potential liability for damages. Finnish authorities Eagle S, sailing under the Cook Islands flag after it departed Russia and reportedly caused damage to the S-Link 2 power cable between Estonia and Finland on Christmas Day while moving over the cable. In a Pacific incident, a Chinese bulk carrier, Anyang 2, has been aground near Sakhalin Island coast, close to the Russian port of Nevelsk, Russian telegram channels Baza and Astra reported on the 9th of February. According to Baza, the vessel, carrying 56 tons of diesel fuel, 706 tons of mazut, a low-quality heavy fuel oil, and 1,000 tons of coal, sustained hull damage in southern Sakhalin Oblast's Nebelsk district, facing northern Japan. The ship with 20 crew members reportedly ran aground south of Nebelsk port. Russia's emergency ministry claimed there are no fuel spills and work is underway to refloat the vessel. Local sources report communication difficulties with the Chinese crew due to translation issues, Telegram channels noted. In a Baltic incident, the Koala crude oil tanker carrying the mazut is sinking at the port of Ust-Luga in Leningrad Oblast, Fontanka reported. Baza says the vessel carries 130 tons of fuel. While the channel's sources claim multiple explosions occurred in the engine room, Fontanka has not confirmed this information. Leningrad Oblast Governor Alexander Drozdenko confirmed a technical incident during engine startup damaged the vessel's engine room. The tanker flying the flag of Antigua and Barbuda has a crew of 24, including 4 Russians, 8 Georgians and 12 Indonesians. The Mash Namoik Telegram channel reports the vessel has run aground and the crew has been fully evacuated. Preliminary data indicates no fuel leaks. Kiev is ready to continue to strike enemy command posts in order to even the odds in the battle with Putin's army. It is known that last week Ukraine received a batch of French single-seat supersonic aircraft Dassault Mirage 2000-5, which were modified to carry Scalp EG cruise missiles, Forbes reports. The new aircraft will enable the Ukrainian armed forces to carry out even more strikes on the enemy's rear. Due to the large advantage in manpower of the occupiers, Kiev is trying to strike at Putin's army command posts in order to disrupt the coordination of forces on the front line. Last week, French Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu said the first 3 Mirage 2000s were already in Ukraine. The pilots were trained in France back in 2024. Over the 3 years of war, the Ukrainian armed forces lost about 100 aircraft of Soviet manufacture. Western F-16s and Mirage 2000s are to be added to the Ukrainian armed forces fleet. Currently, Ukraine uses F-16 aircraft as air defense systems that hunt for Russian missiles and kamikaze drones. However, the Mirage 2000 can be actively used to attack enemy ground targets. The French press writes that the aircraft were modified to carry both Scalp EG missiles and Hammer glide bombs. Let us recall that Scalp EG cruise missiles can destroy bunkers and headquarters. It is worth noting that at the beginning of 2025, before a new counter-offensive in Kursk region, the Ukrainian armed forces launched more than one attack on the command post of the 810th Brigade of the Russian Federation. Analysts are not yet ready to say how Kiev plans to use Mirage, since it is not known how many Scalp EG missiles Ukraine received from France and Italy. It is known that in 2025, Paris allocated $2 billion for the production of new ammunition, including Scalp EG missiles. French ambassador to Ukraine, Gaël Allaire, admitted that Paris does not have many Scalp EG missiles, but they are supplied to Ukraine. Ukraine, meanwhile, is developing its own new deep-kill munitions. Although they are initially being tested on older Soviet aircraft, including Su-24 bombers, they may eventually be deployed on the Mirage 2000 as well.